Okay. So hello, sorry about that. Welcome to our SEO and why it's important webinar. This may be a little technical for some people, but I really just wanted to kind of dive in so that you had a better understanding about what goes into this and how it's not just as simple as creating a page you think is targeted at your audience. So we're going to break it down a little bit. And then if it ever feels like a bit too much information, feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to set up meetings with anyone and try to come up with a more realistic plan for you and your team, because I know that sometimes we have small teams working on these websites, so we totally get that. But this webinar is just to give you an idea about what goes into SEO and why it's important. So we are going to begin from the searcher's perspective. Um, we've talked a little bit about how search works in a previous webinar, and one thing I've tried to preach with you guys is getting in the minds of our visitors. So to begin with SEO, we're going to take a look at what a search looks like from their perspective. So they navigate to their favorite search engine. I chose Google because they own 91% of the market share. So choose whatever you want, but we're going to look at this from the lens of Google today. And they begin typing in their search term or keyword. One thing I want to point out on this screen is this great keyword tool that we can look at a little later. But as they're searching, some suggested searches pop up for the visitor. And these are all things that are getting a lot of traffic and Google thinks might be relevant to this searcher. So looking at these keyword terms can really help you when coming up with your content and knowing what people are looking for within your site. Once they hit enter, they're taken to a page that looks like this. And this is what's called a search engine result page. Um, Another keyword tool lives on here, and it is the question snippet. So this is something we can look at later again, but Google tries to auto-populate and answer some questions it thinks the searcher's looking for. So a good practice for you is to be answering those questions as much as possible on your page's content as well. But diving in a little deeper, we're going to kind of dissect what an individual result on that page looks like. So you'll see the page URL or path, the page title, and here is where we want to keep our keywords in mind. And then below that is a meta description. Our website clients, the meta description is auto-populated based on the first so many characters of your basic page. But if you wanted to set this to be a specific call to action just for Google, you could fill in the summary box on your basic page and we'll pull from here instead of just the first couple of characters. So the default, if there is no summary, is just the first couple of lines from your web page. But again, if you wanted to put a bigger call to action, you could fill in this summary box and we'd use it there. And then lastly, sometimes Google will auto-generate these internal links at the bottom for the searcher based on the flow of your website, and if it's kind of clear what pages are popular within, Google will pull those out for the searcher. And then if we're lucky, the searcher will click our link and visit our page and start exploring here. So that is search from the searcher's perspective. And now let's back up a little bit and go into what is SEO. And I know you've seen my definition here before, but we're going to do a little, I guess, pop quiz. So what is SEO? It's improving the quality and quantity of your website traffic from search engines. And when I say quality and quantity, I mean picking specific keywords that your target audience is searching for and getting those audience members to your website. And when we're picking those keywords, we want to make sure they're keywords that are getting a lot of monthly traffic. So that's quality and quantity. But what is it really? Getting the right people to your website at the right time. And then what is it technically? Getting your website on page 1 of the SERP. And why do we want to be on page 1? Because studies are showing that the first link gets 28.5% click-through rate, and then the rates just go down the further you're ranking. And then on pages 2 and on, the percentage is below 1%. So it's really, really important that if we're trying to rank for certain keywords that we get within the top 10 or even within the top 8 to try to get more traffic to our site. Um, and you can find some more information on this data with the Search Engine Journal link. Okay, so we're going to break down what you guys can do to help SEO in 4 different sections. So the first one we're going to talk about is keyword research. And that is the SEO practice of identifying search terms relevant to your audience and selecting keywords your site has the best chance of ranking for. So like I mentioned before, there's going to be a lot of relevant keyword terms, but it's difficult to rank highly for a lot of them. So we want to make sure we're kind of finding that secret sauce of the ones that bring a lot of traffic, but are also in your guys' wheelhouse to compete for. The next step is on-page SEO, and these are improvements that you can be making directly on your page to improve the ranking. After that, we're going to look at technical SEO. This is website and server optimizations, and this just means it's making your website easier for search engines to crawl and find your data. And then lastly, we have off-page SEO, and these are actions taken outside of your website to improve your site's position in search rankings. So off-page is looking at how we can improve the authority of your site in the eyes of Google. Okay, so that's a lot to think about and to learn all at once. So the web team put together another one of our famous worksheets that you can print out and have with you while you're auditing your content or creating new pages. And this is just a good baseline for you to make sure you're not just willy-nilly creating content and putting it out there. We want to do things with intention for our visitors. So let's break down this worksheet now. Beginning with keyword research. So keyword research could really be a webinar in itself. Let us know if you're interested in learning more about this process, and we can definitely come up with some more materials for you. But for now, I just kind of want to give you some resources to some free tools that you can check out if you're interested. And also just always know that you can reach out to the web team. We're happy to help with this kind of thing, and we have a couple of paid tools that we can put to your disposal. So what that would look like would be you reaching out to us with a page you're trying to improve. Let us know what the purpose of the page is. Let us know some potential competitors for the page. And we'll come up with a list of 5 to 10 keywords that you guys can really be targeting for that page and zoning in on as you're finalizing the content. What that process looks like for us to come up with those keywords is brainstorming a large list of keywords, putting those keywords into our keyword tool, and then narrowing it down based on the monthly search volume and the difficulty of ranking for them. And then we'd send you back a list of 5 to 10 keywords that are potentially good for you to be using on that page to get that page ranking. Another last step is going to be documenting where you're starting at with those keywords. So maybe you're started ranking number 48 and we want to get you up to at least 8, right? So we're going to be tracking that. And then what we would want you to do with that list of keywords would be to take it, plug it into Google, and just kind of see what the SERP page looks like for that keyword. Are there questions that Google pre-populates? If there are, you guys can be using that as a content guide for your page. Another thing we want you to be doing is looking at the pages that are already ranking and clicking into them and seeing what kind of content they're providing for that keyword. So maybe their page is a video of how to, and Google finds that really helpful for this search. And so your team needs to look into potentially providing a video with a how-to as well. Just kind of matching the content structure that Google finds is answering the question will help you rank higher. A couple of the free tools I mentioned. So this is a screenshot of Moz, and I've linked it here in the presentation. But how this works is you can enter your domain, and then it'll show you what pages you're ranking for, what keywords you're ranking for, and at what number. You can only do 10 of these a month, so use this wisely. We've got another one here. This is Ahrefs. This is a plugin for your browser. So when you type in ag education, this pops up with some more potential keywords that people are searching for that you may want to look into and explore. And lastly, these ones that I mentioned before, just free with your Google search, are the ones that pre-populate as you're searching. If you scroll to the very bottom of that first results page, you'll see these related search buttons. And then, as I mentioned before, the question snippet is a great guide for your content. So next we're going to look at on-page SEO. So as I mentioned, this is improvements that can be made directly within your website on the page. And the first thing we'd ask you to do is get familiar with this page's analytics. So maybe this page is performing really well and it's one of your most popular pages for your visitors. So we don't really want to completely sweep this content, right? This content is serving its purpose. But maybe you have a page that's not performing where you want it to be, and it's not within the top 10 of your most popular pages. So that's a good candidate for doing this content audit and cleanup and removing any old or incorrect content, implementing the keyword research that we are giving you, improving readability for web pages by using things like header tags and chunking your content into sections. We don't really want to see long paragraphs on web pages. And then making sure your images are optimized. We don't want to see blurry images on there. It doesn't look like you're taking care of your site very well. But we also want to make sure that our images aren't larger than 1 MB because that will really slow down your page load time, and Google doesn't like that either. So it's a fine balance. Some tools I have for this checklist is your Matomo report, or if you have access to the dashboard, you can check the dashboard out. The Site Improve report you're getting from us. And then this image compressor is a free website where you can upload your image, it'll optimize it, and then you re-download it as a minimized version that you can then upload to your site for improved page speed. Next, we're going to look at technical SEO. So a lot of this falls on your web team, that's us, but there are some things that you can do for this, including after you've finished building the content for a page, take a look at what it looks like on mobile and make sure there's nothing funny, that none of your blocks are out of place or out of order, and just make sure that it's really readable in a mobile device as well. You want to check your load times, which can be found in your Site Improve. Optimize any images if they're not optimized already. And then thinking about page depth and making sure your page isn't orphaned. So that means that you maybe created a page, but you didn't want to link it in your menu, and you don't have any other pages that are linking to it. So this page lives on your website, but it's kind of orphaned, and it's really hard for users to find. And that means it's hard for Google's crawlers to find as well. So we don't want any orphaned pages that are important and you're wanting people to visit more. And then lastly, for technical, we have fixing broken links, which again can be found in your Site Improve report. I'm gonna be moving on to off-page SEO. So once you have all that stuff in place, there's kind of some lag time. You have to sit back, wait and see if your changes are working. And so in this meantime, you can be doing things to help improve your site's authority by turning any unlinked mentions into links. So we always want to be backlinking and citing other sources that we're getting. And then another thing you can do is within your referral report from Matomo, see what sites are sending traffic to your website and see if there's any mentions on their site that they're not linking to your site. So the more of these we have, the more authority you have in Google's eyes. And then the second thing we can do kind of for more advanced website owners is to make sure that you're setting up and running your Google business. If you noticed in our example search earlier, on the side, there was a box for College of Ag and Life Sciences. This is called Google Business, and so to edit this or run this, you basically have to prove to Google that you own it. So there's a kind of a process where they'll mail you a postcard with a code on it, and then you have to enter that code, and then once you're verified as the owner, you can be editing any of the pictures that are showing up here, any of the social media things, any of the links, the hours, anything like that. And this is just kind of like a direct line to Google that you are the authoritative website for this. And so that can really help improve your rankings as well. So to summarize, we've went over keyword research, on-page SEO, technical SEO, and off-page SEO, and we have this fun SEO checklist for you guys to explore as you're auditing your content. Um, does anyone have any questions right now? See if I can find my chat feature. While I'm looking for that, I will just say our next webinar is an office hours webinar. So we're going to do a little talk on what makes a great homepage, and then the rest will be open to you guys. So that's a great place for you to jot down questions and come to that, and we can answer them. If you're more comfortable emailing us your questions beforehand, please do so. We can keep your question anonymous that way and just make slides with the question and answer them. So feel free to be emailing us any questions you have in the next 2 weeks or so as we're prepping for this office hours, and we can get them answered. Let's see. There's my chat. Looks like nobody had any questions. So with that, I will go ahead and end this webinar. Thank you all for joining, and we hope to see you on November 2nd for office hours.